Once you realize that life can be played as a game, everything can change for you. You can start achieving the goals that you want to achieve while feeling motivated in order to achieve this. See, my whole channel thus far, you can see a level of progress of me actually developing this gamification of life. In my last video, I even talked about the concept of how we're already playing games. If you haven't watched that already, please go watch that one because it gives context to what I'm saying today. See, throughout all of this, one of the big aspects that I've found this past decade is that there is no proper guide. There's no tutorial that I can follow in order to understand the exact path I need to take. And yet, I find that there are certain traits that you can follow in order to develop your own tutorial. So that's what this video is about. It's me sitting down going, hey, here are some steps that you can go through in order to develop your own tutorial. Again, if you haven't watched it already, watch that previous video that I made because it talks about the concept that we are playing games, whether we want to or not. This world is developed around games that people have developed, and if either we're going to be playing theirs or playing our own. If we are not playing our own, then we are just left to the devices of everyone else. But if we are playing our own, we're going to have to follow a few things in order to make sure that our game is sustainable in the long run, and finding that motivation to continue playing it even when things get hard. So again, that first step is acknowledging that we are playing games. See, having that shift in mindset can actually really change the world around you because you find yourself more capable of doing things. You become more self-sufficient and self-driven in order to do the actions that you know will have an impact later on. Instead of just following what everyone else says, you start forging your own path. And that is a big aspect of being able to play your own games. So the question that becomes is, how do we actually develop our own games? Well, I always find that games are a way of solving a problem. Usually you play a game in order to achieve a goal that is much bigger than yourself. You could be carving a path forward so you can defeat the evil lord to save the lands. Or you could simply just be making sure that the people around you are safe and well fed in order to thrive as a community. Both of these are different games that you could play. The through line being is that they have a solution to a problem that is in front of them. They have a greater purpose that they are working towards. So in your life, when you're defining your game, try and figure out what the problem in your life is. What a problem in your life is right now. It doesn't need to be a whole life-spanning game, but something in your life that you find struggling right now. It could be that you're trying to be more financially stable. It could be that you're trying to build relationships with people that mean more to you. It could be that you're just trying to redefine yourself. All of these are problems that you may face right now and could be the focus of your game. See, a great lens to look at this through is that of how many games you actually play in your life. Thus far, I've probably played hundreds, if not thousands, of games in my life. And these are just the ones that I've downloaded, got a controller, and played with. The thing is, none of those are the defining factor of my whole life. I can play all of these different games, and it's the exact same in your real life. You don't have to play one game for your whole entirety. You can choose a section of your life in which you go, here's the game that I'm playing. And then that is the focus in which you're doing. So figure out what problem you're trying to fix, and then turn it into the game. You are trying to solve the problem of X. That is your game. And once we have our game, we can actually start defining the rules and the things that help us move forward throughout it. See, in every game, there is a level of progression, and usually that's defined through a certain amount of actions that you're taking in order to progress yourself forward. It could be that you're slaying these monsters so that you can gain experience and level up. It could be that you're making enough profit to buy those new seeds to help grow a new crop. Either way, there is a set rule that states if you do X, Y, and Z, you will achieve that. So in thinking about this problem that has become your game, what are the steps that you need to take on a regular basis in order to progress forward? What is the metric in which you're going to be tracking in order to help progress you forward? What is your aspect of leveling up? What is the experience that you're going to be gathering? It could be that you're just writing every single day because you want to become a famous author. Well, the actions that you'll be taking every day in order to level up is that you could be writing a specific number of words. Have a number attached to it. Have an efforts-based approach because that will actually help motivate you whether or not the result is there, because it shows that you're putting in the effort to achieve the result. And one of the fun aspects of when you're defining the rules of your game is that you can actually use them as innovative ways to play compared to that of a restriction. One example I always like to go to is Mario Kart. It is a game in which you hold down a button that progresses you forward on a track. The goal is to finish that track. That's the number one rule. You have to go from start to finish and travel. And then you start adding extra rules. Well, okay, now the next rule is that you have to beat other people who are on the track with you. That alone starts creating this competitive aspect. You want to be able to go faster then. Okay, how do you go faster? How do you slow down your opponents? Oh, well that means we can add this extra game rule of adding these items that can affect everybody. Well, one of the rules that could be affected to that as well is that when you're in first place, you don't get the best items. But when you're in last place, you definitely get the best items. That simple rule starts creating this interesting way that you can start playing, because when you can really start developing the rules around your game, you can start defining how you're playing in interesting ways. See, you might have a game plan of being in last place and keeping all of those items for yourself up until that last moment where you shoot forward into the first place. That is a tactic that is only devised based on the rules of the game you're playing. So figure out these rules. See how you can bend them to your will and play the way that you think is interesting. Because once you find something interesting and you've built your own way, you are much more likely to continue forward with those actions. The next big aspect is actually breaking down your whole game into different quests that you can pursue so you don't have to feel like you're having this monotonous task over and over. See, there are different quests in different parts of the game. In the beginning of the game, you could just be going and gathering a couple things to bring them together and make the sword that's going to help you become a warrior going forward. After the fact, you're not going to be gathering those items anymore. You're pursuing a different type of quest in your overall game. So think about it. What are the major milestones that are going to define your actions there forward? See, those become your main quests. These are the things that start defining the actions you're going to be taking. Let's say you're trying to create a business. Chances are you may have an idea of what it's going to be, but you don't have the understanding of what you need to do in order to achieve that. So the first quest of your overall game is actually defining the information that you need to gather and being able to refine that so that it actually works for you. See, the whole idea of gathering information can be one in which is a game in of itself. But if you go, okay, I need to define the actions that will help me achieve a status in which my business is a legal entity. That is a much more refined quest than going, I need to start a business. See, although you may not know exactly the details that you need, you do know that there is an aspect of those elements that you need to gather. You need to gather the information in order to make your sword. And then from there, once you finish that quest, you can define the next one. But sit down and go, okay, what are the exact steps of this quest? Do I need to go gather the berries from over here? Okay, well, you need to define what the berries are. You need to define where they are. You need to define how to get them and gather them. For you, that might mean, okay, I need to go research exactly what it means to be a legal business. And then from there, define the steps that I need to do. Do I need to fill out a form? Do I need to create a business name? Do I need to do all these different aspects? And which ones are the important ones that will actually move me forward this? See, sitting down and spending 7 hours on branding when you don't even have a business may not be the best idea. But again, that is completely up to you and the quest that you're going through. So sit down and define the actions that are going to take an hour or less. If something's going to take an hour or more, break it down even further. Because once you have an achievable task that you can do in half an hour to an hour, guess what? You're much more likely to continue that progress along that quest until eventually you're done with it, you can move on to your next one. And finally, throughout all of this, you need to actually be defining what is the motivators behind your actions. Yes, there is that overall aspect of like, I'm going to be achieving this goal. But throughout it, you need to still have that carrot and stick, that reward and punishment. See, one of the big aspects of a real life RPG is that it's a system that actually rewards me for doing the things I know I need to. And makes me feel bad every day for not doing the tasks I need to do because I take damage based on the tasks that I did not do that day. Again, I created this system so that I'm rewarded for the tasks I do based on experience and leveling up in gold, and then punished when I don't do the things I know I need to do. I take damage based on the enemies that I'm fighting. So figure out what are the metrics that are going to be rewarding to you, aka what are the efforts-based things that you can record and track to make sure that you are keeping on track, while also making sure that there is a punishment behind it, because humans are much more motivated by punishment than we are reward. That's just a staple of psychology. So figure out the punishment that actually works for you, which doesn't seem overwhelming, because if the threat of it is too big, you are going to be fearful of doing anything. So make it manageable. Again, in my system, I created it so that I have a health value that goes down. I can heal, I can buy healing potions that make me feel better again. But the thing with that is I also need to achieve success in my task so I can gain gold in order to purchase those. So there's a balance of trying to have that carrot and stick mentality. And then one of the last things about the whole tutorial that I find so valuable is being able to analyze where you are comfortable and then starting your journey outside of that. See, you look towards any major story in which there is a hero's journey. There is a big part of discomfort because they're moving away from what they find comfortable. They are moving and evolving in a way that they did not think possible because of the pain and struggle of being outside of what they know. In life, we are usually sitting in a level of comfort, and only by moving outside of that can we actually achieve the goals that we really want to achieve. When we start moving out to have this journey, we know that there is going to be a discomfort. If you are ready for that and actually frame it in a way where you're excited to do that as well, then you are absolutely going to be unstoppable in the rest of your journey. So try these out for yourself. If you feel like you need more information with this, sign up to the 2-week tutorial that I've created. Basically, it's an email that you'll get every single day that breaks down each of these topics even more. Every day you'll receive this email. It'll give you context to how I see these things and also give you a daily quest that you can go through. So by the end of the 2 weeks, you have a tutorial that is set up and ready for you to start moving forward in your life. Again, if that sounds of interest to you, there's a link in the description below. But otherwise, tell me what tutorial you want to create for yourself. What are the goals that you want to achieve? and see if you can help break down the steps that you need to go through, because other people might need to as well. And finally, if you like this idea of gamifying your life, feel free to click subscribe, because that's what this channel is about. It's about taking psychology and gamifying elements in order to turn life into a game, doing the things we know we need to do in order to achieve the things we want to achieve, all the while having fun and feeling motivated and pursuing a life that we actually want to play. So if that sounds of interest to you, again, feel free to follow along on that journey, and thank you for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you next time.